Good evening, Happy New Year. Welcome to the reorganization meeting of the Middletown Township Board of Supervisors. Would everybody please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Corporal, would you please call roll?
Mr. Kizak?
Here.
Ms. Hannah?
Here.
Ms. Kane?
Here.
Also in attendance tonight, Township Manager Ms. Tully Cools, Assistant Township Manager Mr. Valla, Township Solicitor Mr. Esposito, Township Engineer Mr. Swiderski, Chief of Police Joseph Bartarelli, Police Captain Pete Feeney, Director of Parks and Rec Paul Capera.
Thank you, Ms. Corporal. This is our reorganization meeting, and so the first item on the agenda is organization of the Board of Supervisors. Item A, we need a chairperson. Is there a nomination for the election of a chairperson?
I'll nominate Mike Kizak.
Okay, there's been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Are there any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 4-0. Thank you. I am happy and honored to serve as chairperson for another year. Next, we need election of a vice chairperson, and I will actually nominate Bernadette Hanna for vice chairperson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any board questions? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries 4-0. And finally, we need the election of a secretary. Is there a nomination for secretary?
I nominate Dawn Corporal for secretary.
Thank you, Ms. Hanna, and I will second that. There's been a motion and a second. Any board questions? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 4-0. The good news is we don't even have to change seats. Next item on the agenda is consideration of appointing township solicitor. Is there a motion for appointment of township solicitor? I will make a motion to appoint Curtin and Hefner as township solicitor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Been a motion and a second. Any board questions? Questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 4-0. Next on the agenda, consideration of appointing a general labor attorney. I will nominate Hill Wallach as general labor attorney. Is there a second?
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Any board questions? Questions from the public?
This is the same rate as they had in 2024, correct?
I'm sorry?
This is the same rate that they had in 2024, correct?
That's a good question. Yeah. Any other board questions? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 4-0. Next, consideration of appointing a township engineer. Is there a motion? I'll make a motion to appoint Remington Vernick Engineers as township engineer. Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any board questions?
And this rate is about 6 to 7% higher than last year? Yep, okay. And, our other two professionals kept their rates the same this year. And I know we're coming off a really high increase last year. So could you talk through that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I have that our rates have increased slightly due to, are going to increase slightly this year. The increase is to help retain the high level of staff that we have and work to support the township. Township is, our work in 2025 is set up to be in line and reflect the township's approved budget and project teams, and to set up accordingly to provide our standard of excellence for the township. So.
And are they, what we're paying at market, or are we higher or lower than kind of what's at market?
At market.
Any other board questions? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor of appointing Remington Vernick Engineers as township engineer, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries 4-0. Next on the agenda, consideration of appointing a township traffic engineer. Is there a motion? I'll make a motion to appoint Panoni as Township Traffic Engineer. Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any board questions?
No, I'd just like to say, I know we reviewed a couple firms. Just like to thank Bowman, and I think we're missing out on having a PE that is local to this area and is able to really understand what we go through on a daily basis. So again, thank them, and excited to get Panoni on board as well.
Any other board questions? Questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes 4-0. Next on the agenda, consideration of appointing the township manager to the positions of treasurer, assistant secretary, and chief administrative officer to pensions. Is there a motion? I'll make a motion to appoint the township manager to the positions of treasurer, assistant secretary, and chief administrative officer to pensions. Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any board questions? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 4-0. Next on the agenda, consideration of appointing the finance director as assistant treasurer. Is there a motion?
I move to appoint the finance director as assistant treasurer.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any board questions? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Carries 4-0. Next on the agenda, consideration of establishing and authorizing advertisement of the 2025 public meetings of the Board of Supervisors. Is there a motion?
I move to establish and authorize advertisement of 2025 public meetings of the Board of Supervisors.
Thank you, Ms. Kane. Thank you, Ms. Corporal. There's been a motion and a second. Any board questions? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 4-0. Next on the agenda, consideration of establishing bond limits in the amount of $1.5 million for the township manager, treasurer, and assistant treasurer for the faithful performance of the duties of said offices. Is there a motion?
I'll move to establish bond limits in the amount of $1.5 million for township managers, treasurer, and assistant treasurer for the faithful performance of duties of said offices.
Thank you, Ms. Corporal. Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any board questions? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 4-0. Next on the agenda, consideration of appointing a chairperson to the vacancy board for 2025. I will move to appoint Helene Ratner as chairperson to the vacancy board for 2025. Is there a second? I'll second. Been a motion and a second. Any board questions?
Does Matt Ratner still hold any official positions at the Middletown Democratic Committee?
Ms. Ratner? What's your title?
Chair of the Democratic Party for Middletown.
Thank you. Any other board questions? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Carries 3-1. Next on the agenda, we have appointments to boards and commissions. There are two township advisory boards that have vacancies to be filled at this time. There is one vacancy on the Planning Commission and two vacancies on the Human Relations Commission. With respect to the Planning Commission, I am going to make a motion to appoint Peter Tantala to that vacancy. Mr. Tantala is a civil engineer. He graduated from LaSalle College High School, the University of Pennsylvania, where he received a BSc in civil engineering, and he has a master's in structural engineering from Johns Hopkins University. In addition, Mr. Tantala already served the township on our Environmental Advisory Council. So I'll move to appoint Peter Tantala to fill the vacancy on the Planning Commission. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Been a motion and a second. Any board questions? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Carries 4-0. Are there nominations for appointments to the two vacancies on the Human Relations Commission?
I have two nominations for the vacancies on the Human Relations Commission. I'd like to nominate Kate Anderson for the Human Relations Committee. She is a former student from Holy Family University, has a lot of experience with students with disabilities and working with the American Disabilities Act. I'd also like to, oh, do I have to do one at a time?
We can do them together, it's fine.
Okay. I'd also like to nominate Susan Hargadon of Levittown. Also, she has a lot of experience for caring for a disabled member of her family, and also was a math instructor at the Bucks County Technical High School for 32 years.
Good to see that one. Thanks. Okay, so we've got a motion to appoint Ms. Anderson and Ms. Hargadon to the Human Relations Commission. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any board questions? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 4-0. I want to thank Mr. Tantala, Ms. Anderson, and Ms. Hargadon for volunteering and for your willingness to serve your community. Board of Supervisors could not function without these extremely important advisory boards and commissions, and we need volunteers from the township to serve on those boards and commissions in order to do the important work that they do. So thank you very much for volunteering to serve your community. We really do appreciate it. Okay, that brings us to next item on the agenda, consideration of approving the minutes of the December 16th public meeting of the Middletown Township Board of Supervisors. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the December 16th, 2024 public meeting of Middletown Township Board of Supervisors.
Thank you, Ms. Hand. Is there a second?
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any board questions? Questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 4-0. Okay, that concludes all of our formal agenda items, and that brings us to public comment. Is there any public comment on non-agenda items? Yes, sir. Just please go up and state your name and address at the microphone.
Good evening. I'm Bill Everett. I'm at 286 Hidden Spring Lane in Swan Point Development. First off, I'd like to thank the Board of Supervisors for their commitment at the last meeting to research alternatives that you can bring to bear to help stop the Newtown sewer plant. So I wanted to start out with that. In the essence of sharing, I wanted to spend a minute or two telling you what we're up to as a grassroots group. So I'm going to lay out what we've done so far organizing and what we're doing and what we plan to do in the next weeks. So our organization, we basically are organizing quickly, but right now we have a small steering committee, Gary, myself, Tony, and Donna, that are kind of orchestrate things. We do have a full technical committee. You heard from them at the meeting last month, so we have some good people there. They're looking to connect with your EAC. I'm not sure that's happened yet, but we're looking forward to that. We do have an outreach committee, and basically that's the mode we're in now, is the outreach to make sure everybody knows about this problem with the sewer plant in Newtown and to solicit them to get engaged, because we don't think this is a short fight to do this, but we're committed to it. So our next focus is really Newtown, the Newtown Board of Supervisors. And that's what we're gearing up to be, is to have the same kind of a turnout that we had in December here at the Newtown Board of Supervisors meeting. So we're gearing up for that. We haven't picked the timing of that yet. We want to complete our outreach to make sure everybody knows about the problem before we ask everybody to come to a meeting, so to educate them a little bit. So we are working on our next flyer. So we're going to give periodic communiques about what we're doing to broadcast and to hand deliver to homes, just to make sure we have everybody covered as far as them knowing what's going on here. But in addition to the boss meeting in force, like we did here, we're going to be focusing on the Planning Commission in Newtown and the Zoning Hearing Board, which are two key decision points that they have up in Newtown on the project. So I wanted to share that much with you, and appreciate any comments you have. But we did just do a blast. I provided that to Stephanie, a social media blast to basically to encourage people to connect with us and to get engaged. And if you'll indulge me, since we haven't reached everybody yet, I'm just going to quickly read this so that people that are watching via video can kind of hear it. So the label is "Stop the Newtown Sewer Plant" is the headline. Help wanted. Your help is needed to fight off a project proposed right in our backyard, our own backyard, that threatens our quality of life, property value, and local environment of Core Creek Park, Lake Luxembourg, and the Chamonix Creek. The Newtown Sewer Authority purchased 17.5 acres of land right next door to the Wawa food store under construction along the Newtown bypass, and plans to build a new 2.5 million gallon per day sewer plant. This site is located within 1.5 miles of 12,000 people living in northern Middletown and Newtown Townships, dozens, if not hundreds, of small businesses, including 6 daycare centers, schools with playgrounds, outdoor venues like the NAC, Newtown Brewing Company, and Brillman's Rental Barn. The Sewer Authority used to run a sewer plant that closed it in 1988 to regionalize wastewater treatment at the urging of the PA Department of Environmental Protection. Newtown wastewater has been directed safely to the Philadelphia treatment plant over the past 36 years. Now the Sewer Authority wants their own plant back for more, quote, local control and allegedly for cost reasons. Moving away from regional wastewater treatment and negatively impacting local neighborhoods, businesses, and the environment of Core Creek represents the worst in public agency planning. More sewer capacity means one thing: more develop in our already traffic congested area. The economics of the project also don't work. Newtown wastewater is currently directed through the Bucks County Water and Sewer Authority regional system, which has 100,000 customers. If Newtown breaks away, the estimated $128 million sewer plant and all future and costly environmental upgrades over the next 30 years will be paid exclusively by the 9,000 customers in Newtown. A strong grassroots group is forming to oppose this project. We hope to form an alliance between roughly 12 developments located within this, quote, stink zone of the proposed site. If you or anyone you know would be interested in being a lead contact or volunteer from any of the affected neighborhoods, please reach out via, and this email address, stopthenewtownsewerplant@gmail.com. That's stopthenewtownsewerplant@gmail.com. It is our hope that creating this network will help us spread accurate and crucial information regarding the sewer plant project to the residents of our neighborhoods. Many have already joined the fight. Please consider being part of the voice of the public to stop the Newtown sewer plant. And there's a map that goes along with this, but unless you're reading it online, you can zoom in. It's not very readable. So thanks for your time this evening, and we're committing to come back and give you periodic updates on what we're doing, and then hopefully when you're ready to share the status of what you're investigating, we look forward to hearing that.
I'll say a few things. First, thank you for being here and coming back and updating the board on what your group is doing. I said this before, and I'll repeat it. Your group is probably one of the best organized and well put together community organizations on a specific issue that I've seen in my tenure on the board. And so I commend your efforts. I also commend the strategy that you've put forward to attack this from several different angles. And then the other thing I will say is we are in the process working with specifically our solicitor and his firm, and he has some environmental lawyers that are part of his firm. And so we are developing a comprehensive plan from our township's perspective on how to address this. So our hope is that probably by the next meeting, we'll be able to provide at least the beginnings or some more details on where we go next. But again, I commend all the hard work and the effort and the direction that you're taking this group.
Great, thank you very much. And as a note, on Wednesday, I will be going out and talking publicly at the Bucks County Commissioners meeting.
Great.
Along the same lines.
Thank
you.
Before we move on with additional public comment, I'm sorry, yeah, it's my fault. I forgot that there are a number of folks who are sitting members of different boards and commissions who are up for reappointment. So we do need to reappoint those individuals, and actually, I think they...
If
I
you
have
check your
them.
text, I just sent you a text.
Wow. Okay.
You can do it with one motion if you want.
Okay, so I'm going to read through these individuals. They are as follows. To the Human Relations Commission for a 2-year term, David DeVore and Donna Fan Boyle. To the Environmental Advisory Council for a 3-year term, Kevin Deeney, Lauren LaRoe, and Andy McAloon. To the Financial Advisory Committee for a 4-year term, Michael Jones and Michael Mariakis. To the Park and Rec Board for a 3-year term, William Fuller, Daniel Giacomelli, and Missy Kitzmiller. To the Planning Commission for a 4-year term, Joseph Antonelli. For the Zoning Hearing Board for a 3-year term, James McCafferty and Douglas Downing. To the Historic Preservation Committee for a 3-year term, George Draginis, Mary Durkin, and Roberta Laney. And the Citizens Traffic Commission for a 3-year term, William Everett and Chris Hawhey. I apologize for omitting that when we did boards and commissions updates. So is there a second to appoint all those individuals to all of those boards?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Corporal. There's been a motion and a second. Any board questions? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 4-0. And I will just reiterate, thank you to all those individuals for their willingness to continue serving the township. We truly could not do the work we do without these boards and commissions and these individuals who really give up their own personal time. And it's a lot of time away from your families, away from your personal life, to sit in these meetings to help your township. So we really do appreciate it. All right. With that one delay, take us back to public comment. Is there any other public comment on non-agenda items? Yes.
Thank you. Donna Salvucci, 144 Pine Glen Road, Swan Point. Just one or two things. First of all, thank you. And again, from the bottom of our heart, last month was a very arduous meeting. It was very long, and you were all very patient. And to hear all of us out, we really, really appreciate it. So thank you for that. Just one or 2 points. One is if we could add this sewer project opposition as a formal agenda item for the next month's meeting, I think we would be grateful. I think just to make sure we're also not duplicating any processes that our very integrated, hardworking, disciplined team has been putting many, many hours in, legal and otherwise. That would be helpful. And we don't want to barrage these meetings with lots of people like we did a month ago. We don't want to do that, but we do want to make sure. I think the next phase that I saw on the Joint Authorities website was a 3 to 8 month phase for their next, I don't know if it's permitting or the next steps in moving ahead. So I think we want to make sure that we hammer very quickly and we keep this moving fast so that our opposition hopefully is fruitful. So if we could add that as a formal agenda item, I would be appreciative. That's all.
Yeah, I think what we have to be, I appreciate the desire for speed and urgency, and I get it. But we also have to be careful to make sure we're doing things correctly and legally, because what we don't want to do is take steps that don't work. So we're trying to be thorough and thoughtful about this process, which is why we have a team of really smart lawyers that are working on it to try to develop the best strategy. I think it is our intention to have it as an agenda item at the next meeting. Okay. It's just a question of whether it's on the agenda as just a discussion point or whether there's actually going to be something for the board to vote on. We just don't know that yet.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Any other public comment on non-agenda items? Going once, going twice. Okay, seeing no other public comment, that takes us to other business, and I will start with Mr. Swiderski.
Thank you. Yeah. First off, thank you everyone for the reappointment. And then second, I have a set of plans for 517 Deer Drive to be signed. I don't know if that's done afterwards, I guess. So that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Valla.
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Esposito.
Just wanted to wish the board a happy new year and also thank you for the reappointment.
Ms. Tealy-Cools.
Nothing, thanks.
Ms. Corporal.
I want to say Happy New Year, everybody, and thank you to everybody who is joining the boards.
Ms. Kane.
Happy New Year, and I would like to, since you are in the audience, Mr. Everett, thank you for serving on our Traffic Commission and all the work that you're doing around the sewer.
Ms. Hannah.
Happy New Year, and I also want to say thank you to the residents who came out last time, even though it was a long meeting. It's much appreciated. The more that our residents are involved, the more we are informed. So I appreciate it and appreciate your work as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have nothing further, so I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
To adjourn?
Second, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.